understandable English podcast.
Learn English the easy way.
I genuinely need someone to explain the laws of physics and time travel to me today, because I am convinced that the weekend is actually just an illusion created by the government.
Good morning, Bryan. Welcome to another very calm and completely logical episode of the Understandable English podcast. Are we questioning the reality of the calendar today?
We absolutely are. I am having a crisis about time. Seriously, Jessica, I need you to listen to this timeline and tell me where my life went. On Friday, I finished work at exactly 6 o'clock in the evening. I closed my laptop, I looked out the window, the sun was shining, and I felt this incredible, powerful sense of freedom. I had 48 beautiful hours ahead of me.
That is a wonderful feeling. The Friday evening optimism. You probably felt like you could conquer the world, or at least clean your entire apartment.
Exactly. I had this massive list in my head. I was going to wake up early on Saturday. I was going to do a deep clean of the kitchen. I was going to go for a long run, read 50 pages of my new book, call my parents, and meal prep healthy food for the entire week. I was going to become the perfect adult.
I am already exhausted just listening to that list. It sounds like you decided to bite off more than you can chew. You planned a whole week of activities for one single Saturday.
But that is the trap. On Friday night, you feel invincible. But here is what actually happened. I decided I needed a small reward for surviving the work week. I sat on the couch at 8 o'clock, and I told myself I would just watch one episode of a show to wind down before bed. Just one single hour of television to relax my brain.
Let me guess. You did not watch just one episode. You watched the entire season, and suddenly it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
It was actually 4 in the morning, Jessica. I was sitting in the dark, my eyes were completely dry, and I was watching a documentary about deep sea fish. I do not even care about the ocean. But my brain refused to let me go to sleep. It felt like if I went to sleep, Friday would be over, and I was trying to hold on to my free time.
There is actually a psychological term for that. It is called revenge bedtime procrastination. We feel like we have no control over our time during the week because we are working so much. So when the night finally comes, we refuse to sleep. We stay up late just to prove to ourselves that we have some free time, even if we are completely exhausted.
Revenge bedtime procrastination. That is exactly what it was. I was fighting sleep to prove a point. But because of that, my entire Saturday was destroyed. I woke up at noon with a headache. The sun was already high in the sky. I looked at my giant list of chores and I just felt completely overwhelmed. So I did none of them.
Of course you did not. When you wake up that late, the day already feels broken. You try to catch up on all the things you missed, but your energy is just gone.
Gone. Completely gone. I spent the whole day walking around my apartment doing tiny, useless tasks. I moved a pair of shoes from the hallway to the closet. I looked inside the refrigerator for 5 minutes, closed it, and ordered a giant plate of tacos instead. The whole day just started to slip away from me.
And that brings us to Sunday, I assume, the day of panic.
Yes, the time jump. I swear I blinked my eyes on Saturday afternoon, and the next thing I remember, it was Sunday night. I woke up on the couch. The room was dark. The TV was still playing, and I was holding a half-eaten cold taco in my hand. It was 9 o'clock on Sunday evening. I had accomplished absolutely zero of my plans, and I had to go back to work the next morning.
That is a deeply tragic image. Waking up in the dark with a cold taco. If any of our listeners have ever woken up confused on a Sunday night holding food they forgot to eat, please tell us in the comments. I really think Bryan needs to know he is not the only person who does this.
Please leave a comment. I am begging you. I need to feel less alone in my weekend failures. Because the guilt on Sunday night is so heavy. You just sit there thinking, how did I waste all that beautiful time?
I think your problem, Bryan, is that you treat your weekend like a second job. You make a list of demands for yourself. You try to squeeze productivity out of every single hour. And when you fail to be a perfect machine, you feel guilty.
So how do you do it? Because you always seem so peaceful on Monday mornings. You never look like a man who just survived a time machine accident. What is your secret to a successful weekend?
My secret is intentional nothingness. I do not try to be a hero on the weekend. In fact, I treat my Sunday as a sacred day of extreme laziness. I refuse to be productive. If I start doing chores on a Sunday, my brain thinks it is a work day, and then I burn out before Monday even begins.
Intentional nothingness? That sounds beautiful, but also impossible. How do you just turn off your brain? I feel like if I am not doing something, I am wasting my life.
You have to set very strict boundaries with yourself. For example, on Sunday morning, I have a strict rule. I do not look at my laptop. I do not even open the room where my laptop lives. I leave my phone in the bedroom on silent. And I spend the entire morning doing something that has zero professional value. Usually, I bake bread.
You bake bread? From scratch? That sounds like a lot of work. That sounds like a chore.
It is not a chore if you love doing it just for the experience. It is a slow, quiet process. I go into the kitchen. The apartment is totally silent. I measure the flour. I mix the yeast with warm water. I spend 20 minutes just pushing the dough around with my hands. It is like therapy.
Okay, I have to admit, that does sound really relaxing. Especially in the winter here when it is freezing outside, having a warm kitchen smelling like fresh bread must be incredible.
It really is. The smell of yeast and warm butter fills the whole apartment. And the funny thing is, I am not even a very good baker. My bread almost always comes out slightly burnt on the bottom. It is a little bit too hard. But I do not care. The goal is not to make perfect bakery bread. The goal is just to exist in my kitchen for 3 hours and not think about emails or deadlines or the future.
That is such a huge difference in perspective. You are using your time to just be a human being, while I am using my time trying to be a project manager for my own life. I am always trying to optimize my Saturday.
Exactly. And when you try to optimize your rest, it stops being rest. You cannot schedule relaxation perfectly. If you say, I will relax from exactly 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock, your brain is just going to be watching the clock the whole time, feeling stressed that the relaxation period is ending.
That is so true. I do that all the time. I will lie on the couch and think, okay, I have 45 minutes of relaxing time left. I need to relax harder. Which completely defeats the purpose.
It really does. You have to learn how to just take it easy without feeling guilty. As adults, we are so conditioned to believe that our value is attached to how much we produce. We think that if we are not cleaning or working or improving ourselves, we are failing. But rest is actually a biological requirement, not a reward.
That is a really profound way to look at it. Rest is a requirement. It is just like putting gas in a car. You cannot expect the car to drive forever without stopping at the gas station. But I feel like when we were kids, the weekends felt so much longer. Why is that? Do you remember summer vacations? A single month of summer felt like 5 years. Now, a month goes by and I barely notice it.
I think about that a lot. When you're a child, you are constantly experiencing new things. Your brain is processing so much new information, so time feels slower. But as adults, our lives are very routine. We wake up, we go to work, we come home, we make dinner, we sleep. Because the brain is not processing anything new, it just fast forwards through the memory.
The fast forward effect. That makes perfect sense. So my weekend felt like 3 seconds because I did absolutely nothing memorable. I just repeated my usual bad habits of staying up too late and sitting on the exact same spot on the couch.
Precisely. If you want time to slow down, you actually have to break your routine. You do not necessarily need to be productive, but you need to be present. That is why I bake my terrible burnt bread. It requires my full attention. My hands are covered in sticky flour. I am smelling the oven. I am watching the clock for the timer. I am fully living in that specific moment.
I really need to try that. Maybe not baking bread, because knowing me, I would somehow set the kitchen on fire and make my stress levels worse. But I need to find my own version of a quiet Sunday activity. Maybe I will try just walking in the park without my phone.
That is a perfect idea. Just walking. Not walking for exercise, not tracking your steps on a watch, just walking to look at the trees and feel the air. If you are listening right now, we would love to know your strategy. Leave a like on this video if you are a Sunday baker like me, or drop a comment telling us how you force yourself to slow down on the weekends. We really do read all of them.
We definitely do. And honestly, just talking through this today has made me feel a lot better about my tragic taco incident. I think I just need to stop punishing myself for needing rest. And speaking of our conversation, we actually used a lot of really natural, everyday English phrases today while discussing my terrible weekend.
We absolutely did. In fact, this topic naturally brings up a lot of great vocabulary about time and stress. Let's look at some of the expressions we used, because these are phrases you will hear native speakers use all the time in casual conversation.
Definitely. One of the first things you said to me when I was describing my crazy Friday night plan was that I decided to bite off more than you can chew. I love this phrase.
It is a very visual phrase. To bite off more than you can chew means to try to do a task that is too big, too difficult, or requires too much time. Imagine trying to eat a giant sandwich in one bite. You physically cannot do it. So when you plan 10 massive chores for one Saturday, you are biting off more than you can chew.
Exactly. And because I did that, my plan failed. Then I mentioned that on Friday night, I just wanted to watch one episode to wind down.
To wind down is a great phrasal verb. It means to gradually relax after doing something stressful or tiring. You do not just go from high-stress work to sleeping instantly. You need time to wind down. You might read a book, take a warm shower, or drink some tea to let your brain slowly relax.
But instead of winding down, I ended up watching TV until 4 a.m. And you explained that because I woke up so late the next day, the rest of Saturday started to slip away from me.
Yes, when time begins to slip away, it means it passes very quickly, usually without you noticing, and before you achieve what you wanted to do. It feels like you are trying to hold water in your hands, and it is just falling through your fingers. The day slips away.
That is exactly how it feels. And because my Saturday slipped away, I tried to catch up on all the chores I missed.
To catch up on something means to do something that you did not have time to do earlier. If you missed a week of work because you were sick, you have to catch up on your emails. If you did not sleep well on Thursday, you try to catch up on sleep over the weekend.
Right? But it is exhausting, and that is why you suggested that I just need to take it easy.
To take it easy simply means to relax and not do anything that requires a lot of effort or causes stress. If a friend looks really tired, you might say, "Hey, just take it easy this weekend. Don't worry about the cleaning." It is a very comforting phrase.
I really need to learn how to do that. Because as you pointed out, if I do not take it easy, I am going to burn out.
Exactly. To burn out means to become completely exhausted, both physically and mentally, usually because you have been working too hard or stressing too much for a long period of time. If you push yourself constantly without resting, eventually your battery is completely empty. You burn out.
Well, I am definitely trying to avoid that. So this weekend, I am going to follow your advice. I am going to hide my phone, ignore my chore list, and just try to exist quietly without feeling guilty.
I think that is a fantastic plan, Bryan. Just remember to actually eat your food while you are awake this time.
I make no promises, Jessica, but I will try. Thank you all so much for listening to the Understandable English podcast today. We hope you picked up some useful vocabulary and maybe a little bit of weekend inspiration.
We appreciate you spending a small piece of your day with us. Remember to be kind to yourselves this week And do not feel bad if you need to take a break. Have a wonderful, relaxing week, everyone. Goodbye.
See you next time, guys. So this weekend, I promised myself I wouldn't bite off more than I can chew. I tried to wind down on Friday, but my plans completely slipped away, and I had to catch up on all my sleep so I wouldn't burn out. Next week, I am just going to take it easy and order a pizza.
I really hope you don't wake up holding that pizza on Sunday night.